Okay, section 2.2, looking at histograms. So histograms are a little bit like bar graphs. The difference is that the bars represent intervals of values, whether it's time or measurements of some kind, but they're not items. Like the last section when we did bar graphs, there were different suggestions made that the town had to vote on. Um, there were different um, distinct things. Now, for a histogram, it's sort of intervals of measurements or time, as I said. So in the try these, it says circle the sentences that describe a bar graph. It has bars of the same width that touch each other. So bar graphs, now saying that, in the last section we did have some bars that touched each other, but they were for that same category. So they were representing sort of two situations, the two towns or whatever. So technically, that doesn't happen for a bar graph. Yeah, for a bar graph. The length of each bar does show the number in each category, sure does. Bars can be horizontal or vertical, that's for sure. Okay, but for a histogram, we're always going to have a frequency table, a table that shows the number of items in each interval. So here's an example. Matt works at the post office. This frequency table shows the masses of parcels he weighed for postage last month. What does this histogram tell you about the masses? So there's going to be some questions below. Okay, take a look here. The intervals going from 500 to 1,000. So basically, we label grid markings, and then we draw a bar for 292. So that's drawn there. And then, so basically, they share a side. So each interval includes numbers that are greater than the lesser value and up to and including the greater value. So they're greater than 500 up to and including 1,000. There aren't any, in this case, we're not making a frequency chart from raw data, but that's what you would have to do, that interval thing if you did. Most times you're going to be given it already. Okay, and then it's labeled mass, number of parcels. So describing the data in the histogram, the horizontal axis shows masses of parcels. The width of each interval represents 500 grams. The vertical axis shows the number of parcels. Which is the frequency. Okay. So circle the correct word or phrase to complete each sentence. For each of the first three intervals, the number of parcels is either about the same or a wide range. So looking at these, they're very close. So I'd say about the same. For each of the last three intervals, the number of parcels is more or less than 250. So 250 is this line here. So they are less than 250. Can Matt tell the exact mass of any parcel from the histogram? No, because this is a frequency. It's not actually the mass in here, right? The masses are horizontally, so you know he won't be able to. What does the histogram tell Matt about mass? There are about how many parcels in each interval. So the intervals are 500 grams and about, well, they're all pretty close. So in the first three, there's about 300. In the second three, there was about 250. They're somewhere between 250 and 300. Well, a little less than 250, I guess. So I'd say maybe on average 250 to 300 parcels in each, and 3,500. Okay, so next one, this data shows the number of acres on 32 sugar beet farms. So you can see the chart 3, 6, 7, 8 by 4 near Taber, Alberta. Quinn's family wants to grow sugar beets on their farm near Taber. How can Quinn's family use the data to help them decide how many acres they should use for sugar beets? So organize the data into intervals to create a frequency table. Choose the number and width of the intervals. So basically you want to look here. We're going to group this in intervals. So you want to know your highest data value, which we've already given to you, 836, and then look for the lowest. You want the range. So the lowest looks through that 61, 59, yeah, 59. Which gives us 777. Okay, choose an appropriate number of intervals. Suppose you use 100 for the width of each interval. Divide 777 by 100 and round up to get how many intervals. So yeah, so you want to have not too few, not too many. If we did it in tens, intervals of 10, that would be far too many. We'd have so many empty ones. If we did it in 500, intervals of 500, we'd have 2 bars. That doesn't tell us anything. 100 seems pretty nice here. So if we divide by 100, we get 7.77, which rounds up to about 8 intervals. Okay, and then we have to decide what to start at. We typically don't want to start at sort of a weird number like 59. You want to include 59, so something a little bit less than it, but a nice number. By nice, I mean like 50, hundreds, even tens. In this case, I would start at 50. So when you complete the first row here, and that's what the workbook has already done, started at 50. So 50 to 150, and the next would be 150 to 250, and 250 to 350, 350 to 450, and just continue that pattern. Okay. Then look for the frequencies. So basically, you can do it by a tally if you wanted to. So the number of farms, so yeah, I might do it by a tally. So 139, so that's going to be in here. They've already filled some in, but I'm going to go, so I'm going to cross that off. Then 61 is also in that. And then 358, 169, 126, 350, 126, 350. Remember, we include the last value. 62, 159, 62, 159, 502, 290, 502, 290, 150, 74, 100 and, oh, yeah, so here I've got to include the 150 in the previous. Let me fix this up. I've got to include the 150 in the previous. And 74 as well. Make sure I didn't erase too much there. So I've done 12. Yep, so I'm good. And then 61, 462. 59, 122. 187, 72. 76, 66. 123, 66. 150, 191. 130, 145. 150, 231. 398, 836. 208, 420. And then let's check it out. So 5, 10, we've got 18, which we said. This would be 6, 2, 3, 2, 0, 0, 1. And that would be 18, 26, 29, 31, 32. So you always want to check to make sure you've entered all of that data. Okay, so record the intervals along the horizontal axis. Now when they don't start at 0, see this little squiggly here? This is what you want to do. It's basically like it's a line, but you've squished it in, so it's like a wire that's squished, so that we know that we're not starting 500 at the vertical axis, because really it should be 100. So this is going to be 50 here, and they've helped you out because they've put little markings. Okay, so this is the acres of sugar beets. I'm just going to abbreviate. And then draw the bar for each, the vertical axis. So then frequency, take a look at our most is 18 and our least is 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. We'll go up by 2. So 18. I'm just going to label every second. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. Okay, so 18, the first bar graph, there's first bar of the histogram is going to go up to 18. Again, you should be using a straight edge. I just can't with, it just takes too long with my tablet. So, and you can shade that in. And then the next one is only 6. It goes to there. And then only 2. Oops. And then only 3. And then back to 2. And then 0, so you don't do anything, or you could just put a line. And then 1. Biggest thing to remember when doing that tally chart is back on the previous page where it says each interval includes numbers that are greater than the lesser value and up to and including the greater value. So that's why here when we had a lot of 150s, we included it in this one and not this one. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, some information, the most common area for the sugar beet farms. So the amount of area is between 50 and 150 acres. Largest sugar beet farm has an area between 750 and 850. I think this is a typo here in this one. The other 5 farms, well, there's more. So this was 18 farms. This was 1. So that's 19. So it's basically the other 13 farms have areas up to the interval from, oh, I see. So up to, yeah, so it still should be 13, but up to the interval from 500. So basically here, if we take a look, all the rest go up to the interval, including 450 to 500. Okay, we'll say that. Kind of a weird question. My advice to Quinn's family about the number of acres to use for sugar beet farms is probably this most frequent one, so 50 to 150. Even the next one was 6, so, and maybe up to 250 acres, right? Because then basically they're using different people's farms, and so they're going to be able to get lots of sugar beets from different farms, and so those will be the most common ones. Very few farms these days are super huge. Obviously there's one there, but yeah, so that's it for this histogram. The biggest thing to remember is grouping them into the frequency chart. The horizontal axis, remember, is the bars go next to each other, so you label the lines, not the bars. So you label the grid lines in each of these with a value, and then you draw your bars in between. Okay, and so then do any practice here? Oh yeah, it's way down here. Practice, just wondering, I can't remember. That's just analyzing. This one you'll have to prepare for frequency. It does give you a hint on the intervals. And then you'll need some grid paper. Okay.